As China-Indonesia strategic partnership enter its 10th year, both nations now enjoy a promising relationship with future that is equally as promising for both nations. Now please join me in today's edition of Ambassador Corner with His Excellency Mr. Lu Kang, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Indonesia in his official residence. Join us as we learn more about the past, the present, and the future of China-Indonesia relations.
Indonesia and China have enjoyed close cooperation in various fields, including defense, investment, tourism, trade, health, and infrastructure. In the health sector, Indonesia and China have collaborated on COVID-19 vaccines and genomics, medical raw materials and sister hospitals, and established cooperation between Biopharma Sinovac and Kimia Pharma Sinopharm. China also contributed to Indonesia's high-speed train project, the Bali Turtle Special Economic Zone, and the construction of Kuala Tanjung Port, as well as involved Indonesia in the Global Maritime Silk Road and Road Initiative. Indonesia and China have established comprehensive strategies had maintained a strong momentum of development since October 2013.
Hello and welcome to Ambassador Corner on TVRI World with me, Cisca Becker. Today I have the utmost privilege of conversing with a very special guest, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Lu Kang. Good day, Your Excellency. Ni hao.
Good morning, Cisca. It's good to have you in my residence again.
Of course, it is so good to revisit this beautiful residence of yours. Thank you so much for once again welcoming us to have this very special opportunity to converse again with you.
And also it's my great pleasure to be with the audience of TVRI.
So it's been a really busy year for you, Your Excellency, I know. In fact, 2023 marks the 10th anniversary of the comprehensive strategic partnership between Indonesia and China. And also it's been 10 years since President Xi Jinping launched the Maritime Silk Road initiative, the 21st century in Indonesia. So it has been a monumental year for both of our countries. Now, in fact, the relation now is very strong and enjoying a growth momentum. So much so that now what is being pushed forward to follow up all the success is the full and effective implementation of the 2022 to 2026 Plan of Action for strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership. Your Excellency, please, in your own words, could you elaborate more on this, about your own highlighted moments of 2023 between Indonesia and China, and how the plan of action can actually strengthen the relationships into a mutually beneficial relations between our countries?
You are absolutely right when you described the achievements we have already reached in the past decade, especially when we enter this comprehensive strategic partnership. You could see that actually the development of our relationship and cooperation that has been laid out on almost all fronts. When we call this relationship is based on 4 pillars that include the political dimension, the economic dimension, the people-to-people dimension, and also the maritime dimension. Just as what we have seen in the past year, 2023, you know that actually President Jokowi paid a visit to China twice within 3 months. That was very exceptional, actually, in international relations. As a matter of fact, ever since I arrived about 21 months ago, President Xi Jinping and President Jokowi has already met, face-to-face met each other for 4 times. And you know that actually when Premier Li Qiang first took his first trip as Chinese premier to Asia, the first stop was also in Indonesia. These are the kind of demonstration of the high level relationship. And also, you know that those are not just for show, those are for some tangible achievements, including the bilateral trade, investment. For example, in the past decade, when you ask what kind of achievements we have seen, you could see that our bilateral trade volume has already tripled. I mean, increased by more than 300%.
Okay.
And
in the last 10 years.
yeah. And also, within that period, the investment, the two-way investment increased more than around 130%, something. Now, China has been Indonesia's biggest #1 trading partner for the past 10 consecutive years. So all those are the achievements.
Now, before we move on to more future projects, I would like to revisit, of course, the mega project that was the pride jewel of our cooperation between our two countries, the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed train. As you know, it is increasingly popular. More and more passengers are taking the train ride, and it is enhancing regional connectivity by a landslide. People are really enjoying it. It is such an honor for Indonesia to be the first country outside China to have this technology. But
we are the only two.
The only two in Asia, right? And please indulge my curiosity. I mean, you would know how the Indonesian people feel about it, but could you give us the Chinese perspective on the success of this project and how is it going to propel more future collaborations?
We are the only two, not only in Asia, but worldwide. And actually, this whoosh is not only about speed now, not only it shortened the commuting time between these two populous cities, but we have already seen, even in the past 2 months, we have already seen the increase of the high-speed railway economy, what we call. You have seen the increase of the rapid increase of so many vendors, retail shops, and you have seen the rapid increase of the tourists in Bandung. So definitely that repeated what we have experienced in China per se. When China started this construction of the high-speed railway, also people were just watching what might happen. And now with a network of more than 40,000 kilometers of high-speed railway in China, the impact on economy has been very, very obvious. So that's what we also expect from what happened here in Indonesia. So we can fully understand the excitement of our Indonesian friends.
Yes, indeed. I just took the ride myself, I think last week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I cannot wait actually to take that train ride to Surabaya, which is the upcoming project and initial plan, of course, for this mega project of the high-speed train. Now, Your Excellency, I would also like to touch upon another aspect of Indonesia's and China's relationship, and one of the reasons the relationship is so strong because we both mutually recognize the challenges that everybody is facing right now. And with these global challenges, what is needed is, of course, global solutions. And one of the biggest challenges faced by everybody in 2024, at least, is, of course, about food security. Now, could you tell us more about the collaboration between Indonesia and China and facing food security in the future? Because we heard there is some potential cooperation in terms of agricultural modernization that will be provided by China to Indonesia. Could you please elaborate?
Bilaterally, actually, we have already carried out some cooperation. For example, mutual assistance to each other, sometimes in periodical difficulties. And also, as you have rightly pointed out, Indonesian government officials have been very enthusiastic in exploring possibility of cooperation with China on modernization of agriculture. We have already discussed about some pilot projects, for example, in Sumatra, in Java, and maybe in some other areas as President Jokowi himself indicated. So we're looking for that. I can assure you, experts from China, they are working very closely with their Indonesian counterparts on this. But I think when you talk about food security, we have to bear in mind another dimension. That's the bigger picture of the world. situation. Both of us know there are some dimensions, there are some factors that have already affected the food security issue. For example, that include the crisis, geopolitical crisis, that has also touch upon the macro policies of some major economies. So this is something that both China and Indonesia, not only we share concerns, but both as developing countries, we do share a lot of common interests and common grounds. That's why we have always advocated the unity, cooperation, ever closer cooperation among developing countries in preserving our interests, common interests on the multilateral forum. This is something, as the ambassador of China to Indonesia, we are also working very closely with my friends in Cameroon.
Okay, Your Excellency, we've learned so many insights from you about the bilateral relationship between our countries, and it's good to get an update since the last time we saw each other. We're going to take a little break now, but when we return, I would love to get to know you even better and about your experiences living in Indonesia.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere, Ambassador Corner. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ambassador Corner on TVRI World. Still with me, Cisca Becker, and my very special guest, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Lu Kang. Mr. Lu Kang, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, now allow me please to get to know you better, especially maybe a little bit of your background. Now we understand that you started your work in the Foreign Service in China in 1993.
Around that, about 3 decades ago.
Yes, and then obviously you visited many countries throughout your diplomat career. You went to Ireland, US, you also served at the UN before your ambassadorship in Indonesia. Now you're actually nearing your 2nd year anniversary of your stay in Indonesia. Maybe you can give us like a summary. How has it been living in Indonesia, serving as ambassador?
First of all, I have to say that my Indonesian friends did not spare me much time on enjoying the leisure here. In the past 21 months, actually, we have been very busy. But I can assure you, we have been very busy for good. Because we have seen the very intensive exchange of high-level visits between our two governments. We have seen the increasing of the trading volume and investment, even in the context, in the backdrop of COVID-19. We have seen the rapid recovery of the tourists, of the people-to-people visits, mutual visits to each other. So very quickly, that also definitely, while that brought about a lot of benefits, surprises to our two publics, that brought about a lot of workload to my colleagues in the embassy and myself. But I do enjoy my work here. Not only the cooperation from my colleagues in Cameroon and the other ministries, but also the friendship rendered by the Indonesian public from various sectors to my colleagues and I during our tenure in Indonesia. I also had a lot of chance actually to visit outside Jakarta, to other parts of Java. Actually, I was in Labuan Bajo last week.
Were you really? Was that your first time?
That was my first time, but I was there with acting coordinating minister Eric and also Minister Unu Sandiaga.
Yes.
I promised to Minister Unu Sandiaga. I was there not only for my personal leisure, private pleasure, but also actually for the promotion of the tourism.
Okay. Now that's very exciting to hear because you have repeatedly mentioned about the people-to-people relation and how that is actually one of the strong pillars in the relationship of our country. And you mentioned also the repeated visits by our country's leaders. In fact, I think President Joko Widodo visited China during the Belt and Road Initiative Forum for International Cooperation in October for the 7th time during his presidency. That is actually quite unheard of for any leader of a country to visit another country. But considering we are the most strategic partner for China and vice versa, but we want to catch up with President Joko Widodo. We also want to be able to visit China. So now that you mentioned, your little meeting with Minister Sandiaga Uno, maybe you can tell us a little bit more. Will there be more opportunities for Indonesians to visit China for leisure or maybe for other sort of cooperations?
There are quite a lot. Not only the ministers, the leaders of Indonesian government visit China, but we have seen so many investors, business people, people from the commercial sector. They are trying to catch up. Actually, after the recovery, to catch up with the recovery after the COVID-19 period. And we have also seen the Indonesian students going back to China. Now, actually, according to what I learned, China is now the second biggest destination for Indonesian students studying abroad. And another thing I have to draw attention is that we have also a lot of religious Muslim groups going to China, including, for example, Dr. Nazaruddin and his people from the Istiqlal, and also from all those prominent Muslim groups. Because you know that there are some noises about China, for example, on our religious policies, on what kind of livelihood for the Uyghur people in Xinjiang. So those Muslim groups, they went to Xinjiang. They visit, they talk to people there, they enjoy their time there, and now when they come back, they talk to people what are the real life.
That's fascinating.
Vis-a-vis, actually, in contrast to what sometimes the allegations on some Western media. So I think that's very important.
Okay, that's fascinating. I've also actually visited a very interesting area in China quite a few years ago where there's a big Muslim community in Xi'an. Very beautiful. There's the terracotta warriors as well to look at. So if anybody in Indonesia would like to know more actually about different culture in China than what they used to see.
Did you try the halal food there?
I did. The mutton soup, I think, the mutton stew, very interesting.
That's very popular in China, I can tell you. Xi'an, Xi'an served as China's first ancient capital for about 1,000 years.
I visited the wall with the giant bell.
And also you can see actually the combination of the harmony of so many ethnic groups. In Xi'an.
And it was a very important stop during the very ancient Silk Road.
Right? That's the start. That's the start. So that's why you could still see some monuments, historical monuments, that in memory of those people, even about 1,000 years ago in Tang Dynasty, you could see the tourists, the businessmen from today's Iran, Arabic Peninsula coming to China, and they lived happily together with the Chinese people there.
It's interesting that we should mention the ancient Silk Road because now we're entering the 21st century and there's the new Maritime Silk Road that was initiated right here in Indonesia. So maybe throughout your experiences living in Indonesia, you visited some other parts in Indonesia. What do you think of the potential of Indonesia even increasing its cooperation with China in terms of cementing the foundation for the Maritime Silk Road for the 21st century, Your Excellency?
The potential is very big. As I see, you can see here in Java, we have seen so many industrial parks where we have seen the good cooperation of those joint ventures between China and Indonesia. And when I went to Surabaya, went to Lake Toba, I also see actually the pilot projects for the cooperation between China and Indonesia on agriculture, as you just mentioned, maybe for further cooperation to ensure this food security. I also went to see some research centers. Because we have also the Indonesian government is very interested in exploring the cooperation on gene and also on some research in high-tech aspects where Chinese their Chinese counterparts are also very quite interested in that. So not to mention actually the tourists, Indonesian government advocating so many new sites for tourism and would like to have more direct flights between China and Indonesia.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so those are very important areas. But what's most important, as you just mentioned, now we are entering a new period, a new period of the 21st century Silk Road, Maritime Silk Road. So we are entering not only those traditional sectors, but also some new advanced sectors like the digital economy, like the smart city, where Indonesian government set up those industrial parks, and for example, the project on North Kalimantan, the new capital, they have already invited actually the Chinese expertise, and also for example, the research team. Just 2 days ago, I received a team from Shenzhen, working with the ICANN authority for the cooperation on what could be, for example, the city design, the community design for the new capital. You can see that actually the cooperation has been on all fronts at a very wide range.
Yeah, so much potential when it comes to people-to-people connectivity, because that is one true tangible connectivity that our people can enjoy to have a strong and long-lasting friendship. Your Excellency, I've learned so much so far, and one of the most exciting aspects that I've learned is how much we have in common actually between our countries, and that includes also about the culture and tradition, which I love to learn more after we take a little break. So don't go anywhere. Ambassador Corner will be right back with me and my very special guest, His Excellency, Mr. Lu Kang. Thank you for staying with us on Ambassador Corner on TVRI World. I'm still with my very special guest, His Excellency Mr. Lu Kang, the Chinese Ambassador to Indonesia. Your Excellency, thank you for giving us access to this beautiful dining room in your residence. This is completely too much for us right now. You're being too kind.
Glad you enjoy that.
Okay, Your Excellency, still continuing your dedication to strengthening the people-to-people relations between Indonesia and China. I personally believe nothing brings people together closer than food. I'm very excited now to learn more about traditional Chinese food that you're serving. Can you give us a little bit of background on what we're about to enjoy, Your Excellency?
I agree with you. Actually, food has played a very important role in the connection between our two peoples, even from many, many years ago, about maybe 1,000 years ago. And but back in China, of course, first of all, I have to say that I enjoy the Chinese Indonesian food here very much. And I know there are a lot of good Chinese restaurants in Indonesia. Of course, one of them is my residence. I have a very good cook here. And you know that in China, per se, we have very complicated cuisine system. If you talk to a Chinese expert on food, he might introduce, for example, about the 8 main styles or main schools of dish in China. That really has some connection with, for example, the climate, people's habits in different areas where the school is developed. For example, like in Beijing. If you go to Beijing and you try those famous dishes, like the Peking duck, I don't know whether you tried it before.
I have, I love it.
Indonesian people have it here, I can tell you. It's a combination of what has been introduced from the south part of China and combined with what the royal family at that time in China. So this is very typical. I know that a lot of my foreign friends enjoy that. And in the south part of China, then you could find a lot of dishes are quite sweet. For example, that like what we have today, the steam bowl, the sticky rice bowl.
Okay.
Usually that's something taken in the south part of China. And if you go to other parts of the world, you find the Chinese restaurants. Most of them would like, for example, the mapo tofu. I think it's also very popular here. Usually that's from the western part of China, where people would prefer spicy.
I see, okay.
I know a lot of people in Indonesia, they prefer spicy food as well.
They do, a lot of times. So this is all very fascinating to me because I'm somewhat of a history buff. So I learned a lot actually about China's history through its food. I learned that China was actually the first place where culinary became art, where they make the link between what you eat can be beneficial to your health.
Yeah.
And there's actually a wide variety of food that comes out of China. It depends on which region it is. Like the southern part has more rice dishes and the northern part has more noodle dishes because they grow wheat more in there. And I just love how they take food so seriously. I think that is one of the best things I love about Chinese people. So from all this food that we enjoy here in front of us, is this something that someone would enjoy day to day in China, or this is more of a special occasion kind of food, Your Excellency?
I think what we have today now is something very common in ordinary family livelihood.
Okay.
But of course, you don't take everything every day. You might pick something that you would prefer to have on vacation. So this is just something very normal, I can tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, in China. Okay. But I agree with you, actually. Food has very important, not only in people's livelihood, but also in Chinese philosophy.
Okay.
And in China, we have a saying, food is the top priority for the public. I think you can also see the political wisdom in that. As we just discussed about the food security. Yeah. If you could have people well-fed, sufficiently fed, basically that will pay a very stable, sound basis for the stability of a society.
Okay. Now, Your Excellency, before we get to enjoy this magnificent feast we have upon us, maybe one last question, Your Excellency, in terms of the strengthening of relationship between China and Indonesia. One of the reasons the relationship keeps on blossoming and growing so strong is, of course, we both support each other's vision and goals. Namely, for Indonesia, it is for the Golden Indonesia 2045, Indonesia Emas 2045, and also for Chinese second centenary goal. Now, maybe for our viewers, you can tell us a little bit more about these visions and how they can play in strengthening the relationship between China and Indonesia.
You have a point here. China and Indonesia, in spite of the different backgrounds, political, historical, religious, whatever backgrounds, we do have a lot of commonality. We are developing countries. We are in the process of urbanization, industrialization, and we find that we can actually help each other. So that's why, through all those exchanges of high-level visits, through all those cooperation and exchanges on all those sectors, what both governments and the peoples are doing now is try to seek even stronger synergy between our development programs. Okay. So this is something that will put a lot of effort. Actually, you just mentioned, now we are entering the 10th anniversary of the comprehensive strategic partnership between our two countries. Another thing very important, when we are entering a new period, President Xi Jinping and President Jokowi already agreed this year that we should work hand in hand, jointly working on a China-Indonesia community with a shared future. Okay. It's a blueprint, but now we are trying to work out some detailed programs on that.
Okay. Some tangible projects and initiatives that can realize. Yeah. Okay, very exciting. I think we have a lot more to talk about on our next meeting, Your Excellency. But for now, this will be my highlight of Indonesia-China relationship, enjoying this beautiful feast upon us. So once again, Your Excellency, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And please, on behalf of all Indonesian, let me thank you for all your hard work in strengthening the relationship between China and Indonesia.
Please tell the audience through TVRI, I also enjoy not only my life here, but also my work, because it's a pleasant experience with my Indonesian friends here, not only with the counterparts in the government agencies, but also with all those Indonesian friends whenever I go.
All right, that's so wonderful to hear. And I'm sure that all the hard work will cement the long-lasting friendship of both of our countries.
I strongly believe so.
So thank you once again. And thank you to our viewers as well for joining us for this wonderful conversation. Please join us for the upcoming edition of Ambassador Corner. But until then, I'm Cisca Becker. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye while I enjoy this beautiful feast with my very special guest, His Excellency Mr. Lu Kang. Let's begin.